Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Paul Adepoju, and I'm the community manager for the International Center for Journalists, Pamela Howard Forum on Global Crisis Reporting. And today we are going to be having conversations around a very key aspect, a very key issue that we are really, really passionate about at the forum and, of course, at the International Center for Journalists, which is tackling disinformation and misinformation. But today, the goal is tracking disinformation. And today, we are going to be talking about a very, very important and very, very new tool for that would benefit journalists, fact checkers, and individuals in the media landscape who are dedicated to uncovering truth. And so we have two experts with us today, Nathaniel and Flavia, who will be presenting a groundbreaking project developed by Lupa. Lupa is a leading fact-checking organization that is based in Brazil, and the project is a comprehensive map that showcases national laws aimed at combating disinformation around the world. So I'm really, really happy about the conversations that we are going to be having today. And so let me start by introducing Flavia. Flavia, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Paul. I'm fine. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to show the map Lupa Mundi to everyone.
Yes, absolutely. I'm also really, really looking forward to checking out Lupa because, as it has been described, this particular project, what it does is it sheds light on the various legal approaches that is adopted by different countries to combat disinformation. And the project is especially relevant in today's media landscape where disinformation poses a significant challenge. It is also expected to be useful for journalists that are reporting on various aspects of disinformation and are looking out for laws that exist in their respective countries. So, our panelists will not only describe or explain the map, but they will also provide a deeper understanding of the data that it contains. And for instance, they have observed that some countries have enacted specific laws that are targeting disinformation with a focus on regulating digital platforms, while other countries are still employing traditional punitive measures such as imprisonment and fines to be able to combat false information. And the project includes a visualization that makes these insights very accessible. And I'm trying to see if Natalia is with us. Yes, right on cue. Thank you for joining us, Natalia. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Paul. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session today. It's always a super pleasure be with you. I am very excited to be for being here and
Yeah.
having this opportunity of presenting this work
Yeah,
for you.
thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Natalia. If you don't know Natalia, Natalia is a distinguished journalist with a background in human resources and business management. Natalia is the executive director of Lupa. In 2021, she was honored with the ICFJ Knight International Journalism Award for remarkable work combating misinformation in Brazil. So we are going to start this conversation with Natalia, who is going to give us a background on Lupa and especially leading up to this moment. And I know you have something structured, but I would like to you to take that from hers. What, how does, how do you connect with your background, your expertise, your skills with this information, and then Lupa and where we currently are today? So let's start with that, Natalia.
Thank you, Paul. Well, as Paul said, I am a journalist. Maybe you know me a little because of this award in 2021. And I've been working for Lupa since 2017. And Lupa, probably you all know at least a little bit about Lupa. Lupa is a digital platform, a native digital platform focused on tackling misinformation by journalism, especially with the fact-checking techniques and data journalism and investigative journalism techniques, and also by media literacy and the increasing of the critical thinking in all our population in Brazil. So for Lupa, this project is very important and it's very connected with our main goals in tackling misinformation. And we decided to track this type of legislation because we had some questions about what people were doing regarding legislation in different countries. And we didn't have this answer since help me, Flávia, since yesterday or Monday, because this is a total new work. We don't have any kind of work similar to this. And as I said, it's totally connected with our goals and with the solutions that Lupa is providing to the society in Brazil, but in terms of world too. So yes, this is what we've been doing, and this is how I am managing, or at least helping to manage this, and looking for this impacts of misinformation in the world.
Yes, thank you very much. Before we go to Natalia, I still want to stick with you for a moment. So, what has been your journey like from what peculiarly attracted you to misinformation, and why do you think um, is really, really important looking at the way Lupa is now addressing it, not just restricted to Brazil, but taking a more international approach. So, what was the transition like for you from misinformation within Brazil to a more internationally focused approach?
I guess we need to learn with the all what the what all let me rephrase this, sorry. We need to learn with the good aspects of the work that people are doing in a more road aspect. So when we were super focused on Lupa in our country, but if you don't look to other experiences, it's impossible to have new answers for the same questions. So I guess this is the main reason why we decided to investigate what were being done in other countries, because in Brazil we were not having the good answers for this problem. So yeah, of course we have some answers, and our experience is being shared with other fact checkers and other journalists. We have a very deep experience in covering elections, for example, with new products and projects. But in terms of how can we tackle misinformation by legislation, this we didn't have any answer for this in Brazil. And when you are not having the answers, you need to explore other fields to try to build these answers. And I guess this is the main reason, and this is why we decided to do this, and how this is connected with what we've been done for the last 80 years in Brazil.
Thank you for that super honest and passionate and yet very perfect answer. So I'll let Natalia catch a breath a little while, and we're going to go to Flavia for the presentation. But before we go, I think I would like to give some rules. So if you are joining us on the Zoom platform, and we are always happy to know where you are joining us from, please use the chat box on the Zoom platform to interact with us. I'm already seeing some interactions. Please, we'd like to know your name and where you are joining us from. And if you have any specific questions, please don't hesitate to use the Q&A option on the Zoom platform for that purpose. I also want to say a quick shout out to everybody that is joining this live stream right now. We're on two Facebook pages. We're on the International Journalist Networks page, IJNet's Facebook page. Thank you for joining us on IJNet Facebook page. We're also live on the ICFJ's Pamela Howard Forum on Global Crisis Reporting. I also want to thank you that you're watching us in the group. Thank you for joining us. And you can engage us also with us using the comment box below the video you are watching right now. We want to know how you are feeling, what are your thoughts regarding the subject, and by the time, if you also have specific questions that you would like to ask, please don't hesitate to use the chat box, the comment box below the video you are watching right now. And I'd like to yield the floor to Flavia. Flavia, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, you can take it away. And
So, again, hi everyone. I'm so glad to be here. We are really proud of this product, and I would like to thank you, ICFJ, for the invitation. So, I will very briefly introduce myself. My name is Flávia Campuzano. I'm a journalist. I've been working for Lupa since 2017, and in 2023, this year, I joined this very brand new product area at Lupa. And although Lupa was always working on projects and products, right now we have this established and we want to have this product culture within the company also. It's really important to mention that Lupa Mundi, the product that you are going to see today, was coordinated by Natália Afonso, along with me, and Marcela Duarte, who is the product manager at Lupa. Natália Afonso, took part in the Disarming Disinformation program, a training that was promoted by ICFJ last year. And so after that training, she was able to present the idea of a project. And that idea was to build a map with legislation on disinformation globally. So how Natália Leal was mentioning before, it's important to Lupa to explore what other countries, what they are doing and how they are discussing legislation. So this was the main idea to build that map. I will do a very short slide presentation. I promise that won't take too long, and then we can jump straight to see the map. So are you able to see it?
yes.
Okay, so the idea of Lupa Mundi, it's an interactive map showing legislation on disinformation with focus on national and supranational laws. For example, when we have a law that it's for the whole continent, for example. Concerning the methodology, we made that decision to include also bills, draft laws from 14 countries that are still on discussion because this was the situation in Brazil. We have a bill that now it's stopped on the Congress House, and we thought that it would be relevant to have other countries that are still discussing a specific law to fight disinformation. And so the criteria was to have countries, for example, the United Kingdom, Australia, that are relevant for the whole scenario in the world. So that was the criteria, and you see that more clear when we see the map. Concerning the research, we started on July, and we decided to use the list of 195 countries that are recognized by the United Nations. But due to lack of data, we were not able to include the 7 countries that are listed here. So we are working right now with 188 countries. And concerning the collection of information, on the very beginning, we partnered, besides ICFJ, we also partnered with the International Fact-Checking Network. Lupa is a signatory of IFCN. And so they helped us with a survey. We developed the form and we sent that to all the fact-checking platforms that are signatories all over the world. and they answer that form with information from each country concerning legislation, specific law, or how the countries were dealing with laws related to disinformation. So we received 28 answers from 23 countries, and that was the very first beginning of the research. We also partnered with Chequeado through the Latam Chequeia Coalition, and they helped us to find information on Latin America. After that, we hired a dedicated team with 2 reporters, 3 editors, one outside Lupa, and 2 editors from our newsroom, and also a team of developers and translators and designers to start working on the map. It's important to mention that the reporters, they were dedicated, beside all the information that we received from the fact-checking platforms, the signatories, and also from through the partnership with Latam Chequeia. The reporters had to more deep to find information specifically in different countries. So they were researching like the most reliable sources like national information from the Congress houses and links from the United Nations. So we were very concerned about the sources that we would be using in the map. Um, just a second. Mm. Oh, okay. So here we go. So concerning design and technology, we made a decision to have the map the most intuitive, user-friendly, and easy to research as possible. We made that option to have contrasting colors to improve visualization, and that option would have to also have a harmony with Lupa's website. We also made a decision to use what we call the modal windows, so everything's on the same page. You don't need to move to another page and then come back. And we also made that option to categorize all the information that we found using filters with more details. So when we see the map, we have categories that were related to the research. So for example, if a country has a bill or a draft law that is still going on discussion, if the country has a specific law or non-specific law and it deals with disinformation on the penal code, for example. And also we established a filter with themes, the topics that were most frequent along the research. So this was also a criteria that we established for the filter. Also, we decided to have a list of the countries to solve a visualization problem when you have, for example, very tiny and small countries. So it's difficult to locate exactly where they are, and also for lesser known countries. So you can find them on that list. So I mentioned before that in the beginning, we have that very important support from ICFJ through the Disarming Disinformation Program and also the Scripps Howard Fund and the International Fact-Checking Network that helped us in many different stages of the project. And also this partnership with Latam Chequeia. So before we jump to the map, I would like to tell you about this article written by Yara Diniz, one of our reporters. She was like, just before the launching, she was already taking a look on the map and she was able to find a lot of important information, especially when you look to the continents, how they are, the percentage of countries that deal with legislation in a certain way. So I'll ask my friends Natália and Marcela so they can put the link on the chat. You can take a look on this article. It's really interesting. We are already preparing a version in English, but right now it's in Portuguese only. So let's take a look at Lupa Mundi, but I will need to interrupt the sharing here and I'll just jump really quick to change here my screen. So are you able to see?
Yes.
Okay, so here we are. This is the page Lupa Mundi. You can find it in the menu inside the Lupa website. You go to Jornalismo, Journalism and Explore. So Lupa Mundi is listed there. And you notice that as soon as we open the map, we have all the countries highlighted in different colors. So this relates to the categories, as I mentioned before. You can see the captions here. Sometimes you have a certain country, for example, let me check here. For example, Niger, there's no information available concerning legislation on this information. There are other situations when we were not able to find a specific law or even non-specific law that deals with this information. So that's why no law. And as I mentioned before, we decided to include 14 countries that are still discussing draft laws bill because we thought that this would be relevant for the global scenario. So you can see that some of them have stripes here because they match two categories. For example, Brazil, non-specific law and bill. So that's why you see stripes in part of the map. And also specific law, you see here like in a turquoise blue. So these are the countries that are dealing with this information through specific laws. So let's take a look here on the filters. First, we have this drop-down menu with all the categories. And I'll just make here some different matches so you can understand the concept. For example, if I want to see the countries that are discussing, that have a specific law and are discussing specific draft laws and bills, I can check these two options here. And so we have them highlighted here. Um, Also, you see that we have here, as I mentioned before, the themes. So the topics that were most frequent when we were researching. So we made that option to have them here also, so researchers can find and make their own analysis the way they prefer. So let me just show another example. For example, if I want to see the countries that deal with this information through non-specific law, so I have them all highlighted here. And I can, for example, say that I want to see who is talking about content moderation, COVID, also, for example, internet regulation. So you see that the map is changing when I check or uncheck the different topics here. Penalties, for example. So you see that there's a lot going on. And also, when you go to a specific country, so you have that modal window here with all the information. And it's important to mention that we always include the references so our users can do the same way, can do the fact checking, let's say, for themselves. They can check where their sources came from. And also, we have listed here also the themes, so the topics: content moderation, elections, other types of law, platforms. We also made the decision to have here a list of the countries. As I mentioned, sometimes you don't know exactly where that country is located on the map, so you can make that list here. And that list will reflect the matches of the filters. So what you defined on the filters before, you won't have all the countries listed here, but only the ones that matches the filters that you've done before. Also, really important to mention, I think this will be great for many researchers and journalists also. You may download all the information, all the data in a spreadsheet. So after your research, you have this on your computer to make a deeper analysis or write an article. So there's that option to download all the data. Here, just in the bottom, you can find about the methodology. So as explained a little bit before, we are mentioning here how this research was done. Let me just go to the beginning. So we have that introduction, and then we are mentioning like how all the information was categorized. So how we divided the map into levels, and also, as I mentioned, the importance to have topics like press regulation, internet regulation, penal code. And for example, when we are talking about countries that deal with disinformation on non-specific law, it's very common to have information on penal code. So they deal with this information inside the penal code. And so that's we thought that this was really relevant for users and researchers. And also cybercrime, exceptional regulations, other types of law. So we try to be very clear about the way the decisions we made on how to display the information. There's a note here that it's not very clear how countries deal with information like false information or false news or fake news. So sometimes they just mention in a general way. So this is included also. As I showed on the previous presentation, we are talking a bit more here about the criteria, so how the collection of information was made, and also, as I mentioned, we had that form that went to the IFCN signatory platform. So this was really a very important step to have all the information. And also information about each country. So we have more details here about the questions that we made in order to classify the information. Also important to mention that Lupa, as a IFCN signatory, it has to follow the code of principles of IFCN. So we need to be very clear concerning corrections policy. So all of you researchers, journalists, if you see something that you think can be an update or a new information, you can email us at produto@lupa.news, and we'll do the best of efforts to have all the information corrected or updated as soon as possible. So we need to be clear about that also, because like the map, Lupa Mundi is like a work in progress. So we expect to have updates and corrections. This is part of the work. So that's it. We're mentioning here also the support and the team that was involved in this development. I believe we got everything here. So I'll just interrupt the sharing here, and maybe you can ask specific questions if you want.
Thank you so much about that. Thank you for your for how you broke it down and explain it. So let's talk about the ideal. How much difference do you desire that this tool would make? So let me start with Natalia so that we can let Flavia take some few seconds break and take water or something. So Natalia, how much difference do you expect this tool to make?
Thank you for your question, Paul. I guess as
You are muted. We can't hear you.
are you hearing me? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. As I said before, we didn't know how many countries were working on legislation or other laws to tackle misinformation until we launched this product, this map. So I guess the difference we are aiming to do in this misinformation scenario is giving more information for who wants to research this topic and who wants to compare what different countries are doing. Because, as I said before, we need to learn with this experience. We still don't know what is a good law in terms of tackling misinformation. And especially at Lupa, we don't believe that the legislation is the unique way of tackling misinformation, and not even the best way of doing this. So we want to give some, to have some light in this topic, and give more information for the researchers, journalists, fact checkers, and other people who are interested on this topic could do their own researches and bringing us some insights.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Natalia. And there is also this I've seen in the chat, which is about the language. Somebody was asking whether the links are not in English, and I think you are dealing with that by directing the person to how to sort it out in English language. But it begs the question of language accessibility globally. So let's talk about the available languages for this tool, and because then what are the plans going forward to ensure that, since you are making it to cover as many countries in the world, journalists reporting in different languages could also, or should also, be able to use this tool. So what are your thoughts on making it available in more languages, starting with its current state?
Um, I can go for that
Natalia,
poll.
Flavia, who wants to take it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, please do.
Uh, okay, so at the top of the map, you see that's an option, two languages right now, Portuguese and English.
Can we,
But
sorry, can we demo it? Can you demo it so that people can?
yeah,
Yeah, let's do
yeah,
that then.
sure, sure. So I was just here. You have the Portuguese version and the English version. Right now, just the two versions, but I would like to say that IFCN was really interested in having the map in different languages besides Portuguese and English. So there's a plan to have also in French, in Arabic. I wouldn't say, I would mention like a schedule, also Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
because we still need to discuss this with them. Um, this was like a desire of IFCN to benefit other signatories and to have the map in different languages. Right now, we cannot mention any schedule. Our like our goal was to launch the map last Monday, and also to have this in English and
Okay.
besides Portuguese, make it
Yeah.
available for other researchers.
Okay. So officially, the map is available in English language and Portuguese, right?
Yes,
So unofficially, Google translates in other languages.
exactly.
Natalia, what do you think? Have you tried it? You look like you've tried it. Have you tried it in other languages?
Yeah, I guess, Google Translate is always a very good tool for this, but we are expecting to have more languages soon. As Flavia said, we don't have a timeline right now, but we are trying to have more support to do it in other languages, and more collaboration from other fact checkers and other organizations that are working on the field of misinformation. So crossing fingers for having this as soon as possible.
Yeah, no problem. A question that is also important is, I think Flavia mentioned that something like this currently does not exist in the space at the moment. So let's talk about that gap that was existing until Lupa came on board. So from the experience of developing this map, what insights did you have regarding why this was has not been developed by someone else before?
Wanna go, Natalia?
No,
Uh,
please, you should start. You were working on this.
yes. Uh, Paul, I'm not that sure. We know that IFCN they developed something similar in 2018, but as Anaki, the community manager there mentioned, they were not updating that information. So this was just left there on the. You can check that at Pointer website. And so he was very excited when Lupa decided to do a new version of that map. And it's a bit different than the one that was done before, that is available at the IFCN. And I'm not so sure why no one had the idea. Okay, they had the idea, not exactly what they've done now, but as Natalia mentioned in the beginning of this conversation, it's important, very important to Lupa to have other references of what other countries are doing and the discussions. For example, in Brazil, we have that bill, that draft law, the 2623, if I'm not wrong, and this was almost on the way to be voted, and then we received a lot of pressure from especially from the big techs and the platforms, and that stopped it. So the discussion stopped on the Congress House. So this is really important to us to understand the movements that other countries are doing as well. So also that's why they decided to include 14 different countries that have draft laws, bills, and are in the middle or in different parts of that discussion, because they are not every country in the same point of the discussion. But we believe to understand misinformation and disinformation as a global phenomenon, it's important to understand how the countries are dealing with that on the legislation or in non-specific laws, as we found.
Yes, I also want to add a quick follow-up question, which is, what are the major patterns do we see across different regions? For instance, I'm not putting you on the spot. What are you seeing as the common trend in Africa regarding? Can you speak to that? And of course, in North America and other parts of the, what insights across regions can you give me if you can, please.
Uh, for example, and now I'm reading Yara's article just to make sure I won't say anything wrong. But for example, in South America, only 8 of 11 countries don't have any specific law. So it's 72, almost 73%. In Central America, 5 from 9 countries, they don't have specific law. Um, in North America, 4 of 14 countries, they don't have a specific law to deal with this information. In Asia, 12 from 46 countries. In Europe, 7 from 46 countries. In Africa, 2 of 52 countries don't have a specific law. And in Oceania, um, all the 14 countries, they have a specific law. So this is part of the findings of the research that Yara was doing with Lupa Mundi for her article.
That was quite impressive. Thank you for that insight. So, Natalia, what kinds of stories do you want journalists to use this tool to write? If you can break it down so that journalists that are now checking this tool out at least would have something like a starting point and start looking at, okay, could I have understanding of, okay, this is what I can use this story to write, and what do you see as the short term and long term applications for journalists?
Um, We want to, as I said before, we want to give more information, and we truly believe that journalism is a way of doing this. So I guess journalists will can see patterns of legislation, things that are common, and these are very connected with the government, with the political spectrum, with the orientation of the congressman. Journalists can do lots and lots of connections. We don't want to be analysts of legislation with this map. Our goal is presenting the information, and with this data, journalists can go to someone who is a specialist in legislation and discuss what is happening. This is our goal. So we are bringing the data, and then this could be part of the work of journalists. I guess I expect that in the long term we could update this. The topic of legislation as a tool for tackling misinformation, it's very present nowadays. I guess we didn't have a map like this one before, because we were not discussing legislation to tackle misinformation so much as we are discussing this right now. You have lots and lots of countries using this tool, using the law as a way to tackle misinformation, and this is very brand new for us. So I guess we can update this in the long term, and the journalists could still do this work of having some data from this map and building analysis with the support of specialists.
Yes, thank you so much. So, what about you, Flavia? So, what can you also say regarding the kinds of stories journalists can use this platform to write, in addition to what
Uh,
they said?
yeah, I just want to come back to a point that Natalia was talking about, that we have that concern that we are not analyzing if a specific, for example, a country that has a specific law to deal with this information, it doesn't mean that this is a good law, and it's not our job right now to say this is good or bad. And this was also a decision when we were discussing the design and technology, for example, not to use green and red as captions and colors to highlight the countries, because this would be related to an analysis, evaluation of good or bad. So that was also a design decision. and and that's it. Sometimes we receive, like yesterday, a newsletter. A guy, he wanted to do an article about the Lupa Mundi, and he was asking questions about exactly that. Oh, do you think this is good or bad? And we don't think this is our whole right now to say no, this is a good law or a bad law. So the idea is to display all the information that we are able to find, the more organized as possible, according to the criteria that we defined, that we decided to use. But we are not experts in legislation, so this is not our job to say, even if it's a specific law to deal with this information, it doesn't mean it's good. So, and the same that some countries deal with this information in non-specific law, or to doing adjustments on the penal code to take that into account. So we have that concern, not to say that this is good or bad. The idea was just to be as complete as possible to display legislation all over the world.
Yes,
Oh, but as you asked, sorry. So I think the map will be really useful for researchers, for journalists in the universities, because you can combine the filters and see different information. If you are researching, for example, the countries that sometimes countries that have more like an authoritarian government, they may use a specific law to, for example, to tackle press regulation, and sometimes this can mean censorship. So we try to be as transparent as possible to display that we were even discussing if the name of the topic should be censorship, or that displays probably use related to censorship. So this was also a concern, the way we are going to name the topics. And Marcela Duarte, our product manager, she's mentioning here on the chat that you may download the data. Yes, exactly. So when you navigate, so you combine the filters to match exactly what you need of information, and then you can download in a spreadsheet so you can analyze and go deep to find the specific information you need. So I think it will be really useful for journalists and researchers.
Yes, thank you very much. So I think the person that was complaining about the language switch, I was able to easily switch it, and I want to show you how to do it. So this is a statement announcing the launch. So if you click it, it takes you to the platform. And this is just what I switched. You can see the flag here. This is the Brazilian flag. If you click it, you see the English version. You can easily switch from one language to another. So this is the English version. I hope that is very, 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 very clear. And if you look at the way this is interactive, we can see Flavia. What does green represent that is popping out to somebody that is one thing that I think before you answer that question is the fact that you were able to have lots of information. You were able to do collate information from different channels and for different countries, so which is really, really extensive and very, very useful, because when I was checking it on my own, I realized that only very few countries that we don't have sufficient data on, so which is highly, highly commendable. So in a nutshell, what does Mauritania, Egypt, countries have in common, and why do we have so many purple countries? Interpret this as a practical case to somebody that is still struggling to make sense of what we are looking at right here. What information, even before clicking, do these color changes doing? I know Marcelo is is probably grumbling to take the mic. Marcela, don't worry. I think Flavia is okay. So Flavia, can you take that question? So what are we looking at in Mauritania
Oh, you
and
mean the turquoise blue?
yes.
The turquoise blue means a specific law. So that country has a specific law to deal with this information.
So when you look at the screen, everybody, places where you can see green, the turquoise blue, like a sorry color,
Yeah.
like turquoise blue, those are countries with specific laws, while the ones with purple don't have, if I'm right, but they have sections of their laws that are indirectly targeted at misinformation and disinformation. And so, which is where I would like us to now pivot into, which is the fact that when we start, I think I'd like to bring Natalia on. When we look at laws that countries have, sometimes these laws that are meant to tackle misinformation could actually be used to actually stiffen criticism and actually target free press. So, how is this playing out in your experience, Natalia? And what can you say about journalists? What tips can you give to journalists that are trying to report on these issues and they are probably at risk of being described as misinformers and penalized using some of the laws that are curated on this platform? Natalia?
Thank you, Paul. This is a very challenging question because nowadays, I guess all of us are reporting in delicate scenarios, right? We are in sensitive scenarios. So it's not just a matter of having law that could be a type of censorship, but we are suffering digital attacks and online harassment every day. So it's the legislation and the use of the legislation regarding misinformation as a tool for censorship from the government is, just one more problem in all the scenario that we have. So as we can see in the map, um, we have just a few countries that have a specific law for this, and most of them are in the Europe. The European Union have a very strong legislation regarding the misinformation. It's a very new one, and what we know is that the environment for reporting and for journalism in general, it's getting better there. We don't have strong cases of censorship, but in other continents, just as Asia, for example, we have lots and lots of the use of legislation for censorship. We have the example of Philippines and of India. So it's difficult to say, if you are working in a country where they are using the law for censorship, you should do this, because there's no recipe for this, I guess. So what we always say for in these situations, what is my advice? Work with transparency, work in collaboration. You should, call other journalists and say, I need your help on it, because someone is attacking me, I am suffering some type of harassment, so ask for help. And of course, take care of your mental health. This is very, very necessary, very, very needing nowadays. So this is my tip number one. Take care of your mental health, because this is very, very important, and you need to be centered, and you need to be very well, feeling good to do your work in a very good way. So I guess it is.
So I said, Flavia, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think this mental health issue, it's really important right now when we see the conflict in the Middle East. Sometimes we don't even want to look at the images. So as reporters and journalists, this is really challenging. And also, as Natalia was mentioning, sometimes you are just trying to do your job and your work. And in Brazil, for example, we have cases of journalists that were harassed or suffered attacks, especially on the last government. So it's really important to have like this net of safety, to, if you need, if this like a bad issue or a really dangerous situation, to ask for help, not only of partners, other journalists, but also from lawyers or specific assistance, for example, from journalistic institutions that can help in cases like that. So when we are dealing with disinformation and misinformation, we know that this is a tricky issue, and like it can blow sometimes discussions and situations that can become dangerous. So I think it's really important to keep that net, that safety net of partners, journalists, and even legal assistance when needed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Before I ask for your last remarks, I would like to give you, if you can share the journey putting this idea together for disseminating this information. How was that? Did you have the idea already before disseminating this information, or it came during the disseminating this information So, what was the process like, and how did you go about it? Probably, if you share that journey, it can inspire other journalists that have ideas on how they can also um,
Paul, Marcela, our product manager, she was just telling the other day that this idea of putting together all the discussions and legislation in Brazil that came like maybe, I'm not so sure, but maybe 2 years ago. And but that was a project that was not moving forward. And so Natalia Afonso, when she took part, I have an echo coming. So when Natalia Afonso, she took part in that training from the International Center for Journalists. After the training, she decided to come back to that idea, but not only related to Brazil and from the different states in Brazil. So she decided to make this broader and to prepare that project idea of having a map with global information about legislation on disinformation. So that's where it came from. That was that previous idea of having the map only for Brazil to deal with legislation in different states. But then when she took part on the training, she decided to present a broader idea of having it globally. So it started like that.
yeah, that's impressive. Congratulations. And what is okay? Is Mr. Masala. So what is next for this project? And considering the fact that it is going to need a lot of effort to keep it updated, continually updating it and making it available and accessible to more people globally. So, how are you positioned, or how are you trying to position yourself to meet the challenges and to ensure that it is fully utilized? So, what is the plan, Natalia?
I guess in terms of the product, probably Flavia could have a better answer. But speaking as the CEO of the company, and in a more institutional way, um, we want to. Lupa wants to be a reference for the the insights of the impact of misinformation and how it impacts our daily life and the society in general. So, um, institutionally, this map is very important for us because it's something that is totally new. We don't have any kind of research like this being done for any other organization in the world. And we know how important is having unique things. It's like something that gives you a totally different brand. People will see you in a different way, and this is important for us, being a reference for this topic. So institutionally, I really want these girls working on it, and always updating this and trying to have more and more information, because it's not just uh, our work. Of course, we will have journalistic analysis based on this map, but we can give information for the society, for our audience, for other researchers and journalists, and this probably will help us to reach a broader audience, and um, speak with more people and growing our audience.
Thank you so much. So let's start with the last remarks. So, what will your last remarks be? Is we wrap this up. Let me start with Flavia. So, what are your last remarks regarding this subject today?
Yeah, I'll just go back to what you mentioned before. So we look at this as a work in progress. So Probably from time to time, we're going to send a new form for the IFCN signatories and other fact checking platforms that can have specific information in countries specific, the ones that are discussing the draft laws, the bills. So we know that probably we're going to have an update in United Kingdom shortly. So that's it. Journalists are curious people. So from time to time, we are doing our researches and we have new findings. So we know that the map Lupa Mundi, it's alive, so it needs to be updated from time to time, and we need to refresh information. And this is mostly a collaborative work and a product. So we are going to count on IFCN and ICFJ also to help us to improve the map from time to time. We It cannot stop. It cannot be static with that information because things are changing and draft laws are being discussed. So the idea is to have this to be improved on from time to time.
Thank you so much for that. And Natalia, what are your own last thoughts on this?
I guess we are very, Flavia already said this, but we are very, very proud of it. Our team was super focused on launching something very unique and different. So we know how this map could be important in terms of tracking the legislation, but also given the information for these types of comparison, between countries. And we want everyone using this, just because it's a way to have information and ask to our congressmen and our politicians, to do other things and to improve the quality of our public debate. Because in the end of the day, this is the reason why we are working. So it's another tool for achieving our main goal here, which is improving the quality of the public debate. So I am particularly proud of them, of our our team and everyone who worked on this project. So, this is very important. I am very, very proud. And thank you for this, for having us, discussing this. I guess this is also a very good opportunity. So thank you.
You are very, very much welcome. Let me say congratulations to you. Congratulations, Flavia. Congratulations to the entire Lupa team for these amazing projects. Seeing a project like this from ideation to fruition and seeing it, people actually using it and introducing it to the general public, especially journalists, to be able to make use of it and write potentially impactful stories. It's something that I believe every media innovator, every media entrepreneur, every media establishment would really be proud of. So I join in congratulating you for this major achievement. And I also want to thank you for sharing this project with us. Thank you for taking time to share it with our forum members. And I also want to enjoin our forum members to interact with this tool. I've also been checking it out. I've been seeing things. I've been so don't just go in with, yes, you can go in and use the tool if you already have a project story idea you have, but I don't just want you to check it out when you already have a story idea. You can play around with it. I always enjoy going on a particular tool with an open mind, because you'll be surprised the kinds of ideas that can jump at you by the time you start playing around with visualized data sets like this. So yes, go and enjoy it, go and explore it, and I hope you write amazing and beautiful stories from it. So Thank you very much for being part of the session today. I want to encourage you to continue to interact with us. I would encourage you to be part of our forum. If you are not a member of our Facebook forum, which is where we share information about new webinars, about opportunities, about resources, about tools like these and several others that we share with our forum members, I encourage you to be part of it. I just put the Facebook to our Facebook's group link in the chat box. Please click the link and fill the form, and you are going to be accepted into the Facebook forum. I also encourage you to learn more about this initiative, the Disinformation Initiative, and other initiatives supported by the International Center for Journalists. Visit www.icfj.org, and I also information about opportunities, resources, toolkits, and other things that you as a journalist would really benefit from. Check it out on International Journalist Network's website on www.ijnet.org. I want to thank everyone that is joining us at a uniquely different time zone today and on a different day. Thank you for being interested in this subject, and thank you for everybody that started with us and is waiting to the end. I also want to thank those that joined in the middle and are joining to the end, and those that didn't wait to the end. We still appreciate you for spending some time with us. And that is how far we can go today. My name is Paul Adepoju, and I say thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye from me.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, ICFJ.